Hello everyone and welcome to my channel, Sims to Nostalgia. So here we are in the Rags to Riches challenge, comparison actually between Sims 1 and the Sims 2. And we are at M's house again. And the garden is still pipe broken chaos. But she has just got her bills to pay, and that's 10 simoleons, so it's actually still quite good. Also compared to what Jennifer in the Sims 1 pays. So let's just continue the game from here. I figured out that in The Sims 2 the easiest way to actually earn money was just to grind and keep digging holes in the garden to get those treasures. Because you wouldn't really be able to advance in the career tracks because her needs are always too low and she doesn't have the time to get any friends or to get any skills. And I know that this wasn't probably the way that the Sims were supposed to be played, because it is supposed to be hard and it is supposed to be tedious, and you shouldn't just be able to advance in the career tracks. So yes, it should be weeks after weeks where you would be hanging on just to gain those skills and to keep those friends that you were actually able to make. But anyway, let's join Jennifer in The Sims 1, because I've seen a couple of Rags to Riches challenges done in The Sims 1, where the player would just take the sim to these magical lands, can you say that? And then have them wash their hands and use the toilet, and also buy, kind of cheap meals, like these popcorns for just 6 simoleons. And I wasn't actually planning on not doing that, because I felt like it was cheating just to go somewhere and then get all those needs taken care of. But it's just such a slow game if you don't do it. So now I've done it. I've cheated, if that's what you would call it. So please bear with me, but now that's happening. But let's see, it's actually not even so helpful, so I can totally understand why other players would do this, because her problems are not even hunger, to be honest, and it's not hygiene either. It's her energy, it's her comfort, and it's her fun, so it's kind of hard to take care of that. But let's get back to Em. So she has just found a lot of treasures, so let's just sell those to see how many simoleons we can have. She actually just found 2 maps, so that was quite valuable to us. So let's do some building. So as you can see, we just added a floor to her little house, or whatever we're supposed to call it, just to give it a tiny bit more humane look, because she isn't supposed to walk on grass, that's obvious. But actually it doesn't make sense to have her go to work, so I'll probably just leave it out for today, and then hopefully she'll get paid either ways. But she has no vacation days, so probably not. But look at that, she just found another map. So that's 400 simoleons, and that's already a lot more than she would be paid for just 1 day of hard, tedious work. So you can say the only disadvantage is that she doesn't have her needs fulfilled. So that's a free ride when you go to work. She will actually get fed, and she will be able to get her hygiene somewhat down and her bladder somewhat down as well. And the social as well, I think. But anyway, let's just sell whatever she found today. That's quite good. We can buy something. I've seen a couple of these Rags to Riches challenges because I quite like them. I used to have a neighborhood in The Sims 2 where I only built houses and families, and where I couldn't use motherload. Well, maybe, that was mainly the purpose, to not use motherload. So they would have to earn their own money, and they will have to build up their fortune through generations often. But even back then, I allowed myself to use max motives, because it was almost impossible not to do it. But I couldn't use it all the time. That was, kind of the promise I made with myself, that I only would use max motives if it was kind of necessary. So you can imagine how when I first saw these challenges that I was so eager to try out for myself again, and now not with the max motives possibilities. But I also remember that in that neighborhood where I couldn't use max motives, my sim just kept dying. I would often have gravestones in my garden because the fortune was built up through generations, and every time there would be a ghost scaring my sim, they would die immediately because their needs were often not low enough to actually be a problem, but too low, so if they had that shock where everything would drop, they would just be killed. So that was kind of annoying. But the funny thing is that in The Sims 1, when I used to play that, it didn't seem hard to not be able to use max motives and have them and have all of their needs fulfilled at once. So maybe it's just because that with The Sims 2 and with max motives, everything got just a tiny bit too easy. And I guess that the game had so many other options than to just play the basic game, as to say. So for me, it didn't hinder the gameplay in any way. But in The Sims 1, you didn't have that opportunity, so everything was just slower. And personally, I never played much in the career track, so they never really had a job, and they never really had to gain any skills or to make any friends, because I found that really hard in The Sims 1. So normally when I played, I would just have, one or two Sims get married and fall in love, reverse order, and make a family. And I would build a lot too, but I would just rosebud everything out of there and have a lot of money, build a giant house, and that would be it. And then in The Sims 1 you also had a lot of other options, so my Sims would go on vacation and do other stuff, try to be superstars, and I didn't really do any good. Try to be witches or wizards, and I wasn't really good at that either. I was quite young, okay? But anyway, it never seemed to be a problem that you couldn't have the needs fulfilled. And I think that difference is made even clearer when we have the game like here side by side, because you can really tell that The Sims 1 is static. So it's not just the camera angles and the point of view, everything just seems static because there's not just nothing happening, it's the layout is static and the way that Sims interact is kind of static. So the only action on Jennifer's ground is all the Lunas dropping by to greet her. And here on M's lot, we have the broken pipes, I guess, so that does make it kind of dynamic, but there's also visitors coming over. The phone is ringing all the time, and I guess it's also because Jennifer doesn't have a phone yet. But to me at least, it's just more, I wouldn't say realistic, but because obviously it is a game, but there's more things happening. But yes, as you can just see, I've just sold all of M's treasures again, because I hope that we would be able to do a small rebuild of a kitchen. We had quite a lot of funds. Now we have 5,000 simoleons, so we can actually take this kind of far. But back to Jennifer's, as you can see, she still has absolutely nothing. She has her chair and her coffee machine that she likes to use regularly. So what I'm actually spending most time on here is just keeping the cockroaches away and just tittying her lot, because there's plates everywhere and now she gets bills everywhere as well. 25 simoleons, that's a lot. I don't really understand why the bills are increasing, because it's not like I get any wealthier, and she doesn't have a lot of her lot still, so it's a bit odd that it's just increasing every time she has a new bill. But anyway, now we have 300 simoleons, so we will just serve her a nice meal as a reward from coming home from work. And I see we have cooked lettuce once again. Oh, did she just... I think we just have a double batch of granny cookies there. It seems like... Oh, it seemed like the plate was empty and then she just picked it up once more and started eating. So, good for her. That just saved me 10 simoleons. And the coffee machine actually is even more annoying than useful. Just the sound of it, I love the sound, but it's getting a bit tiring. And it was also easier on her energy when she would just fall asleep on the ground. Yes, I know, but she's just constantly tired now, so it isn't really helping her much. But anyway, that's it for this episode, so thank you for tuning in. I hope it was somewhat enjoyable, and please stay tuned for the next episode. That would be episode 5, and let's see what's happening.